Live from the WKRG News 5 studio, you're watching the Mobile City Council Candidate Forum for District 2. Sponsored by Mobile United, the League of Women Voters, and AFC Mobile.
Hi everyone, I'm Peter Albrecht. Welcome to tonight's City Council District 2 Forum. 6 candidates are running for this seat. All are here tonight with us in the News 5 studio. District 2 encompasses a number of neighborhoods including Maysville, Midtown, Oakley, Downtown, Africatown, Plateau, and more. The candidates are arranged tonight in alphabetical order left to right on your screen. They are Jason Caffey, former NBA champion, now rehabilitating homes in the city. William Carroll. William represented District 2 on the City Council for 8 years, from 2005 through 2013. Reggie Hill is the Executive Director of Success for the Future. Also, Levon Manzi. He is the current District 2 City Councilman. He has held that seat for the last 8 years. Kim McKean is with us tonight. She is a longtime advocate for LGBTQ rights in the state of Alabama. And Mark Minert works in real estate in Mobile. Now, the candidates do not know the questions they'll be asked tonight in advance. They will have anywhere from 15 to 45 seconds for their answers, depending on the question. There will be no rebuttals. We ask the candidates to answer the question being asked. We will rotate the order in which the candidates answer the questions, and at the end of the evening, candidates will be allowed to make a 1-minute closing statement. So here we go. Let's begin with an area that is a part of District 2. Talking about Africatown, and candidates, you'll have 45 seconds to answer this question. What do you think about current plans for historic Africatown, both for revitalizing the neighborhood and for making it a destination for historic tourism? What would you like to see done in that area, and what role should the city play? Jason Caffey, you're first.
Definitely would like to see Africatown revitalized. It's such a big part of our heritage and history. Something definitely needs to be done over there. That's my stance on it.
Okay, William Carroll is next.
I'm totally supportive of the restoration and revitalization of Africatown. I'm very impressed with the heritage home that's coming with the museum area, but I would also like to see a replica of the Clotilde built out there. I would also like to see the overgrown lots cleaned up. I would also like to see a lot of the blighted properties also restored and cleaned up at the same time. Africatown is a near and dear place to the city of Mobile. It is one of the biggest tourist attractions that there could be in the United States of America, and we need to do everything that we can to enhance its value.
All right, thanks, William. Reggie?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and to Mobile United, to League of Women Voters, and to WKRG 5. It's definitely a pleasure to be here. In reference to the question, when the Alabama Historical Commission came to the city of Mobile, the Plateau community, to introduce that the Clotilde had been found, I was the youngest person in the room and the only person on the stage that was invited to participate in that process. So this community is very vital to me. As far as the current plans are going, I believe that there are some great ideas that are on the table. The revitalization is something that is extremely important and has been cried out from this community for decades. As far as the tourism piece, this is an international heirloom, and I believe it's something that is similar to that in Montgomery with the Lynch Museum. And as far as the role of the city, we need to facilitate the resources to the community to be able to do what is necessary.
All right, Levon?
Yes, Africatown has been an integral part of my focus as a member of the Mobile City Council, and will continue to be. One of the first decisions we had to make upon taking office was whether or not to accept a used mobile home trailer as the headquarters for the Africatown CDC. We turned that trailer down, and we worked in partnership with the administration and with County Commissioner Messiah Ludgood to not only get funding for a welcome center, but also the Heritage House that is presently being built. So it will continue to be one of my top priorities as a member of the council.
All right, Kim?
Well, I would like to say in regards to the Africatown revitalization that it's about time. It's always been a historical site, even before the Clotilde, and I'm very happy to see that it's being cleaned up. One thing I would like for that keeps coming up for me, though, is I don't want current residents that are there to have their property values go up too much where they can't stay in their own neighborhoods. So I want to make sure that the current residents there are taken care of, along with revitalization.
All right, thank you. Mark?
The Cotilda exhibit is an exhibit that has a story that needs to be told and should be told. And I think it's going to be heard from people from all over the world, and we need a world-class facility for that. I don't think we can invest too much money into that, because I believe that any dollar that we spend in there, we're getting tenfold back. As we develop, though, we need to make sure that we're including low-income housing for those residents, and that we're supporting that community and not detracting from it, adding commercial space, that we're maintaining park space, green space, and redeveloping it as a thriving community, not just a tourist attraction.
All right, thank you. Let's talk a little bit about downtown Mobile. That's a part of District 2. And downtown has made tremendous improvements over the last 25 years or so. But what more needs to be done downtown? What ideas do you have to make it even more appealing to citizens and visitors? William, you're first.
Well, thank you.
I'm sorry, 45 seconds for this one. My apologies.
Downtown, I remember in '79 how Dolphin Street was extremely blighted, and you could throw rocks in the windows and nobody really cared. Today we have an entertainment district that I worked really hard to help get established downtown in my last 2 terms, in my 2 terms in office. But what I'd like to see is the continued growth of entertainment downtown. Also, new businesses thriving downtown. In Mobile, we need to attract additional businesses outside of just blue collar and have some white collar work there that keeps our youth there. We also need to extend the entertainment district all the way across Water Street and over to Cooper Riverside Park and tie Gulf Quest and the convention center and all those other places into it, so they're just not standalone items, to where we can get people to go in and also help subsidize our other pearls downtown.
All right, thanks, William. Reggie?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. What's very unique about downtown, this is the area that we each share. All 7 districts of the city of Mobile are bound together through this unique place. I have probably the boldest idea of any candidate up here. I would actually like to see us remove the Arthur R. Outlaw Convention Center. We're paying too much for just utilities alone with Outlaw and the Civic Center. We used to hold the same events at the Civic Center that are now being hosted at Outlaw, and I feel because the state claims that we do not own that area of the waterfront, beyond the convention center, we should get rid of that place and then actually put those amenities in place to extend our waterfront. Cities like Savannah and New Orleans are great examples of what can be done there, and I think we can do it at the space that's currently at the convention center.
All right, thanks, Reggie. Levon?
Downtown has grown exponentially over the last 8 years, both in a commercial sense and also from a residential sense. We now have, probably in the next 2 weeks, the first grocery store that will be opening in the vicinity of downtown. There are new bars, restaurants, and entertainment venues opening almost every week. And I'm also proud to see the level of diversification that is taking place in the ownership of buildings downtown. It looks like the city of Mobile, diverse, unified, and what I'd like to do is continue to invest in our districts so that we can bring more entertainment, more tourists. I don't think we need to tear down anything. We need to continue to build up.
All right, Kim?
All right, one thing that I would really like to see downtown is to enhance our transit systems. Currently, right now, when it rains or weather-wise, people have to stand out in the rain, the hot, the sun. I don't think that's right. So I really believe that my main focus is going to be on enhancing our transit systems by increasing the frequency of service, improving the reliability of it, and making sure the transit stops are more comfortable and accessible, and that includes the shelters, the transit shelters, and that's really what I would like to see.
Okay, Mark?
So there's a lot of room for growth downtown. We need to revisit the Civic Center project and redevelopment of that. Of course, development of the waterfront, that's on the agenda in the next few years. And personally, I'd like to see Canal Street regridded. That road is too big. It's basically a giant red line between downtown and south of downtown. And I would like to see it regridded so that we could provide pedestrian access and better access to the Seals Texas Street Rec Center, so that we could have a recreational park downtown and other amenities like that could serve just both the residents and the tourists that come down.
All right, thanks, Mark. Jason?
What I'd like to see is I'd like to see the convention center change from just a concert hall and a place to hold balls to a facility for all types of events, soccer tournaments, things of that nature, a multi-purpose facility, if you will. Also, I'd like to reach out to my friends across the country who are investors and try to fill up the rest of Dolphin Street as they have in New Orleans on Bourbon Street.
All right, thank you, Jason. Our next question concerns the homeless situation. Downtown Mobile has a significant homeless population. Business owners are complaining they've invested in downtown and that the homeless then scare away their customers. What should the city's approach be when it comes to treating or dealing with homelessness in downtown Mobile? We'll have 30 seconds to answer this one, and Reggie Hill is first.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I think the first thing that we have to do is we can't close down our homeless shelters. We can't close down our housing units. We can't cut off the resources that go towards social services. We have to invest in the programs that we know that work. We have to invest in the people who are actually catering to these needs. We have to invest in programs that are actually going to be beneficial to those who are homeless. We have a lot of resources within the city of Mobile, and there are a lot of grants that are accessible. We just have to have people that are willing to get into the trenches of what needs to be done and make it happen.
All right, Levon.
Well, I believe one of the things we ought to continue to do is invest city resources in the nonprofit agencies that have already invented this wheel, work in this space. One of those examples is the St. Louis Street Missionary Baptist Church under Reverend Willie Perry. Without federal funds, local funds, state funds, they're presently feeding the homeless each and every day. And they're doing that in spite of this pandemic and tight financial resources. And so I think it's incumbent upon our city to invest even more so in this homeless situation.
All right, thank you. Kim?
Well, I agree with Mr. Hill and Mr. Manzi. We do need to invest in nonprofits that can help, and we need to stop closing down our community centers and shelters and or the housing projects and stuff like that. I really believe that just investing in our nonprofits and allowing them to do what they do, we can actually help the homeless.
Okay, Mark?
So a couple of months ago, I actually met with some of the advocates for the homeless, a few different ones, and one of them, she recommended day rooms, and it really put me on that path, and I've done a lot of research with it. And what these are, I hate to liken them to a rec center for teenagers, but essentially that's a very base of what they are. What they are is a place where they can go during the day, get certain facilities such as laundry, showers, air conditioning, internet access, and it allows us to interact with them, with social workers, and help them line up programs, and those kinds of things that will help the community during the day, give them a place to go, and get them out of the businesses.
Okay, Jason, Kathy?
I would simply like to see the professionals who are specialized in dealing with the homeless deal with these situations for the city. We have to realize that this is just not a financial situation. It is also a mental illness situation. So I definitely like to see the professionals deal with it.
Thank you. William?
Yeah, you know, there are several different types of homelessness. We have the chronic homeless, we have the wayward homeless, but the city has to invest additional resources in homelessness. Again, mental illnesses, we need to provide a facility for help for the homeless there. We need to add additional facilities so that the homeless can have a place for an address. The city also needs to create a workforce space where homeless people can work and make money so that they will have money to buy or for resources for their basic needs to live every day. The city needs to just get more involved with the nonprofits that also provide these services.
All right, we're going to stay downtown with our next question, talking about Gulf Quest. The Gulf Quest Maritime Museum cost the city about $43 million, and by all accounts, despite being a world-class facility, it has not gone over well with the public. What should the city do with the property, keeping in mind there are restrictions because of the federal transportation funds that were used for that project? Levon, you're first.
Well, Gulf Quest was one of the things that hit me like a trailer truck when I first took office, because of the expense and also because of the just general lack of interest once it was opened up. I'm hopeful that we will be able to negotiate some releases with Washington so that we can work to repurpose that building. It's a first-class facility. Unfortunately, there just hasn't been the interest in it.
All right, thanks, Levon. We have 30 seconds, by the way, to answer this one. Kim, you're next.
All right. Well, I believe the city has done the best that they can possibly do with it, what they can. It does cost a lot of money. I would actually like to see more Mardi Gras balls, entertainment taking place in it, using that space a lot better. Actually, you know, lack of interest, I think the whole city went to it when it first opened. So actually, I believe that bringing in newer attractions to it would actually help.
Okay, thanks, Kim. Mark?
So under its current restrictions, first thing we need to do is try to see if we can get rid of those restrictions. But under its current restrictions, its highest and best use would most logically be as a transportation hub, possibly for a super ferry. I believe that that's the way that this is eventually going to go down the road, but that's kind of an expensive project, so I'm just not sure if we're ready to punch through and do that yet. But I would see us doing that in probably the next 5 to 7 years. And I really think it's going to be transformative for our tourism industry when we do that.
All right, thank you, Mark. Jason, you're next.
I would like to see private investors take over this thing. I don't think the city should be burdened with it anymore. Let the private investors come in and do their events there. We can sell this thing like New Orleans does with Friends of the Aquarium, Friends of the Zoo, and sell this thing off as a tourist location.
All right, thanks. Jason, William?
Thank you. We need to enhance its use. You know, Gulf Quest would be a great place for Amtrak to have a spur there if we could get them to Mobile and find a way to add money for Amtrak. It would be great use to enhance its transportation value that's attached to that building. I think the city, if I remember, spent somewhere close to $43 million on that building, and we just can't leave it there. We have to repurpose it, have to attract other venues to it, have to create another use so that building will become a revenue generator as opposed to the city spending lots of money on it.
All right, thank you, William. Reggie?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I think the first thing we have to do is use this as an example to prove that we need better decision makers. We have to know that the strategic planning is an important, vital component of city growth and the use of taxpayer funds. I believe that we can find out what the restrictions are and then propose a plan that is going to be beneficial for years to come. We have to find some way to get back the resources that we put in, and I'd be willing to do whatever is necessary based on the restrictions and regulations that are in place.
All right, thank you. We're going to stay downtown, talk about the Civic Center. When Mayor Stimson came into office, he said that the Civic Center was obsolete. It couldn't be renovated or really updated in any financially viable way. It was a big drain on the city financially, and yet the facility remains open, hosting a very few events. There's been some plans for the Civic Center and that property. What do you think should be done with the Civic Center? And if you think it should be torn down, what would you like to see done with the property? Kim, you're first.
Actually, I would not like to see it torn down. I believe that we can take what's there and utilize it and continue to do Mardi Gras balls there. What you see now is it's the drive-through COVID vaccination. I mean, it's perfect. When I drove through there, I just loved it. And I think we should keep it and continue to utilize it, preserve our historic assets here instead of tearing them down.
Mark?
So I think we need to revisit, get in touch with Sterling, get in touch with Cordish, and see what kind of mixed use, kind of retail entertainment venue we can put there. Our occupancy rates are up, our rental rates are up, and that may affect their decision to come back and invest in that property. That's 60 acres of prime real estate downtown. We've got to take advantage of it.
Okay, Jason?
Yeah, this is similar to the museum situation for me. I'd like to see more private investors come in. I don't think the city should run the lead on it. I think they should back up more private investors to do their thing there. As I said, perhaps a multi-purpose facility where we do more than just concerts and comedy shows and things of that nature and move on with it.
All right, William?
Last I checked, the facility was losing about $500,000 a year. We have to go after attractions that are revenue generating there. We can't leave the building empty where it's not paying for itself, or at least some revenue is coming into it. Secondly, we have to rehab the facility if we're not going to tear it down. That way we can get other people there. The whole facility has a theater in it also, and also a stage that's larger than the Sanger. that stage needs to bring in attractions from all over the country for plays. I'm pretty sure Mobile's Quality of Life would love that.
All right, thank you. Reggie, your thoughts on the Civic Center?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. It's called the Mobile Civic Center for a reason. So we don't need private investors or private dollars to come and play. We need to invest in it from our own taxpaying resources. This was something that I talked about at the top of this forum. We are wasting more money on utilities alone between the convention center and the Civic Center. So we need to get rid of the convention center, which will allow us to develop our riverfront, and then invest back into the Civic Center so that we can have the events and amenities. All of the popular attractions used to come here to the Civic Center. We can bring that back with the proper leadership.
Okay, Levon?
I believe that there's certain facilities that a bustling, hustling city ought to have. A stadium, a civic center. And I would be in favor of using some of the resources that we have by way of the reserve in order to totally rehabilitate that building. It's loved by Mardi Gras societies across this region. And I believe if we go in and rehabilitate the building, we will be able to compete regionally for some of the acts that are going to Pensacola and Biloxi.
Okay, we're going to talk about another city-owned facility now, and that is Ladson Stadium, which is kind of right on the District 2, District 3 border. The Jags have moved out. The Senior Bowl has moved out. The Lending Tree Bowl could follow. Almost all of the city high schools will soon be getting new on-campus stadiums. So what do you see as the future of Lad Peebles? Mark, your first 30 seconds on this one.
You know, what we're going to have to do is look at what's probably best for the community of Maysville. And is it going to be best to have an aging stadium like Reggie talks about that costs a fortune to maintain, or to tear that stadium down, maybe have a more appropriately sized sports arena that can be multifaceted for football, baseball, soccer, and a community type park area? I really think that that's going to be the future for that area, and I think that's what's going to be best for that Maysville community.
Okay, Jason?
I'm yet to speak with the people of Maysville. I would definitely like to know how they feel about Ladson Stadium with all of its heritage before I just say squash it. As far as right now, perhaps soccer tournaments and things of that nature would get some revenue going. I know they're big generators of revenue.
Thank you. William?
I was at the meetings at Williamson during the controversy over Ladson Stadium, and I'm here to say that I support Ladson Stadium being there, renovated. You know, it's projected in 2025 FAMU will play South Alabama when they come here. FAMU travels with about 20,000 people. Jaguar Stadium only sits 16, so where's the rest of the crowd going to sit when the game comes? Also, we have other HBCU games playing in this city, which are monument and become part of our culture here. We have to have somewhere for them to play, and Ladson Stadium is the perfect place. It's an anchor to the community out there, and I think that we need to find ways to make it revenue generating.
Okay, way to get your plug in for your alma mater as well. Reggie, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Much like Mr. Carroll, I attended those meetings as well, and I'm actively engaged in that community day in and day out, and that is an heirloom. And if we look at Alabama state law, we can't get rid of the building anyways. It is a historical element, so we need to invest in it the same way that I would like to see us invest in the Civic Center. And there's only one A&M, and that's the Alabama A&M University, and at the end of September, we will be here showing you why Ladson Stadium should still be a part of the city.
All right, thank you so much. Levon?
Yes, I not only attended, I hosted the meetings relative to saving Ladson Stadium, and one of the strongest and most ardent supporters in order to keep that building vibrant. We have a hard-working board of directors there at Ladson Peoples Stadium that are moving swiftly toward a new imagination and a new image for Ladson Peoples Stadium. The citizens of Maysville love that building, and the city needs to keep its stadium.
All right, Kim?
I agree with Mr. Manzi. I fully support repairing and investing in Ladson Peoples Stadium. You know, my son plays high school football there, and I would like to actually see, if anything, we turn it into a Little League football stadium where we can generate revenue and also entertain our kids and give them opportunities to play in a professional football stadium.
All right, thank you so much, Kim. We're going to talk now about violent crime in the city of Mobile. Mobile's on pace, unfortunately, this year to have the highest number of murders in a decade, and many of these crimes are being committed by teens. What can be done from a city standpoint to address this problem? Mark, you're first.
So this is the biggest problem going on in our city right now. We literally have children dying in our streets, and we have to address this with utmost urgency. About 6 months ago, I came up with a plan including shot spotter and intervention programs. A much bigger plan is actually in front of the City Council as part of the CARES Act right now. I would definitely like to see that implemented and followed up with community outreach programs. As I studied other cities that successfully addressed this problem, that seemed to be the magical 3 components, and I really think that that's what we need to do, because it is of utmost importance that we address this problem.
Okay, and we have 45 seconds to answer this one. Kim, you're next.
Well, becoming aware of what types of crimes is happening in District 2, finding out why, the why behind the why are the crimes happening. I believe that's key here. Also, making our police force more visible and personable is a great way to create good relationships between the citizens and the public. But honestly, I believe there's really no single solution. Instead, it's got to be a community, the entire community, law enforcement, social safety nets, government, and neighborhoods must do better. And we have to weed out the bad apples, and that's going to come through stronger communication strategies.
Okay, thank you, Kim. LaVon?
Well, again, in my opinion, one of the things the city can do and do the best at is invest in its resources. We can either spend $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 on the front end through mentoring and partnering with our nonprofit agencies, or upwards of $40,000 in actually imprisoning some of these citizens in our community. We have great organizations like Big Brothers Big Sisters, the 100 Black Men program, and also the United Way, that are working day in and day out to tackle this problem. We need to invest, in my opinion, even more so in them, so that they can invest in our young people.
Thank you. Reggie?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The first thing we have to do is stop playing the blame game. Citizens are blaming police are blaming parents, and elected officials are blaming each other. We need to implement solutions that are actually going to bring about a change into our communities. We can't keep investing resources in programs that are not yielding the results that we're doing. We're investing millions upon millions of dollars annually into groups that are not facilitating the change that we need to see. I encourage everyone to go to www.s4tf.org, and that's the number 4. We have been implementing these changes. We work with kids who have IEPs, special needs. They've been at Strickland Youth Center. They've been tried as adults when they're youth, and they've taken complete 180s in their life, not 360s and repeating the same things over and over. So we need things that are proven and that work.
All right, thank you, Reggie. William?
Thank you. The highest incident of gun crime or injury are between the ages of 12 to 25. To hear the shot, identify the gun with spot fire and all those things is great. But by the time we identify the shot and hear it, somebody is either on the ground dead or somebody seriously hurt. So that has to be used in conjunction with other things. Now, crime sometimes and most times is from a result of need. So we need to go into communities, identify the people, identify the community, identify the need, address why, and start giving the resources to those areas so that we can get the teens, the kids, the parents, and everyone up to par. Get them the resources they need so they don't have to go out and commit small crimes and then violent crimes, and then crimes that escalate from small crimes to violent crimes.
All right, thanks, William. Jason?
I reside in the historic Campground District, which is the north side of the district where most of these crimes take place. What I would say is our family, we do a community thing where we help the police the situation. Our community involvement has kept crime down on our street, and I would like to see more people in the community do things like that.
Okay, thank you. We'll stay with policing here and talk about body cameras. Starting in 2015, Mobile purchased 500 body cams for police officers. Earlier this year, though, we had 2 police shootings, deadly shootings. In neither case was the officer involved wearing a camera. The city has since purchased hundreds more. But in terms of transparency, the police department will not make any of this video available to the general public or to the media. What would your recommendations be for our police body cam policies? Kim, you go first.
I'm in full favor of body cams. I believe that our police force should be transparent. Not only will it protect them, but it'll also protect the individuals that are being arrested or confronted by the police. It'll help with racial justice. It'll help with everything. Body cams all the way.
Okay. LaVon, 45 seconds to answer this.
Yes, sir. I was one of 3 council members that started the drumbeat for the police department to secure body cameras. Totally in favor of the concept. I know that they will work, and I also believe in full transparency. This equipment is purchased with public resources, expended by our taxpayers, and I believe there are instances where that information needs to be disseminated to the public without any encumbrance.
Thank you. Reggie?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Very simply put, public funds equal public accessibility. There should be no reason why the public cannot get their hands on any type of information that we're spending our money on. And to be clear about this situation, we can all remember the Michael Moore tragedy. It was very unfortunate in our community. The Public Safety Committee met to discuss body cameras. I was the only citizen who was not an employee of the City of Mobile to discuss this. And these are the measures that we bring about through all the involvement that we have within this community. And this is an organizational approach that we have that can tackle these things. And we need to make sure that we're creating the necessary relationships to where the police will feel comfortable with saying we're going to do what's necessary. That means amending Chapter 46 of the Mobile Municipal Code so that the training will put them in place where they won't have any problem with utilizing the body camera and showing the public what it is that's being recorded.
Thank you. William?
Thank you. First of all, our police should not have a problem with wearing it no matter what. I mean, it not only protects the police officers, but it protects the possible person that's being arrested or detained. It also protects the people that are around the area that are witnessing the crime. I believe in transparency by the police department. I also believe that the camera's information should be given to the public at a time that is necessary. Sometimes when there are youth involved in youth-related crimes, we may have to slow that process down a little bit. But transparency is the utmost, and I believe that we should be able to give that information to the public.
Thanks, William. Jason?
The cameras are a necessity for two reasons, for safety and for accountability. Not only for the police officer, but for the person interacting with the police officer. I definitely would like to see the footage be passed over to the proper authorities at such a given time that it needs to be.
All right, thanks, Jason. Mark?
So part of that outreach program that I was talking about earlier included a clergy certification program. The reason why this film is not being viewed is there's legal ramifications. Not just anybody can see that, and those are some tough hurdles. However, I wanted to create a clergy certification program where members of the clergy, trusted members of the community, can go through a certification program with the police department. You know, it may involve a little bit of training, some ride-alongs and things like that, so that they can be cued in and be allowed to view those cameras, so that when there is a controversial decision, there's somebody there that can immediately view that camera and can show that, hey, this was a police procedure, or no, something was out of line. And we need to make sure that that is somebody that is a trusted member of the community, and that's why I was going through the clergy route for that.
All right, thank you so much. We're going to lighten the mood here a little bit. 15 seconds to answer this question. Your good friend is coming to town for a couple of days. They've never been to Mobile. Where do you take them and why? LaVon, you're first.
Well, I definitely would take them all across District 2 because it is the heartbeat of the city of Mobile, starting in downtown with our fine restaurants, bars, and then ending in Africatown so that they can get a true appreciation for that historic and hallowed ground. I think we have something that no other city in this country can lay hold to, and it would be a great visit for whoever would be here.
Okay, thank you very much. Next is Reggie.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I would start at the corner of St. Louis and Royal Street. And because right there's a property which signifies how we began, and which may not be the best story of our culture, but also shows how much influence we have in the upkeep of our city. And there you can see where the slave trade took place, but as well you can see Alabama Power. And so this shows how much we've changed with over the time and how much far we have to go.
Okay. William, you're next. A reminder, 15 seconds.
Thank you. Mobile is a city of trees. I would start them on Government Street and drive them to the Loop and back to get the feel of the historic character of the city. I would take them down Dolphin Street and entertain them in the entertainment districts. Then I would take them on a tour of the African American Heritage Trail. Then I would take them out to Plateau, to Africatown, and let them see that. Mobile is rich and diverse, and I'd start right there.
All right. Thanks, William. Jason?
Definitely start them off at Winslow's for some gumbo, probably a nice drink. Then take them for a tour all over. District 2 is the most diverse district, I think, in the city, and there's just a lot to see.
All right. Thank you, Jason. Mark?
I usually start off with drinks at Dolphins just because you get the wonderful view, and then from there I'll usually show them around downtown, and then if we have time we'll just venture through the historic districts. This city's pretty unique in that as you travel west you can literally watch the historic architecture start to change with time and as that developed.
All right. Thank you. And Kim?
Well, I do what I've always done, which is number one, you take them out to eat, maybe at Callahan's, and then visit Bebop's downtown because I'm LGBTQ, so let's go to the gay bars. And then I would end it with a historic haunted tour, touring all of the historic places.
All right. Thank you so much. Some great ideas. This next question, also a quick one, just 15 seconds for this one. Over the centuries, people from Mobile have made their mark in everything from science to industry and sports and entertainment. Who's your favorite Mobilian of all time and why? Reggie, you're first.
That's a very tough question. I probably have to say my grandfather, because he was speaking down at the commission before this was a city council form government. And so before I even knew that I was going to be getting into this, it was already in my bloodstream. So I would probably say him.
All right, thanks, Reggie. William, you're next.
There's so many I can't even pick one, but my mother was tremendous in her leadership there. But when I got on the council, Reggie Copeland was such a gentleman and charismatic leader. And then, you know, I've met people like Hank Aaron over the years who've been tremendous to the city. So there's just so many to limit to just one.
Thank you. Jason?
I don't know, being an athlete and somewhat of a celebrity myself, it would be kind of shallow for me to mention another one. I would say my father. We haven't always had the greatest relationship, but in the later years in our lives, we've built together a really strong bond, and he's somebody that I admire and look up to.
Thank you, Jason. Mark?
You know, there have been a lot of great Mobilians from Bienville, and then, but I really think that the one that always stands out to me is Dr. Franklin. You know, he provided medical services to people that generally didn't have them otherwise. He provided housing to people in need, and I really think he represents our city well.
Thank you. Kim?
That's a hard question, man. I mean, there are so many wonderful people that have come from Mobile. You know, one of them I would have to say would be Laverne Cox would be one of my heroes, my mentors.
All right, thank you. Levon?
You could really go down a long litany of individuals who could fit this bill, from Cleon Jones to John L. LaFleur, a civil rights activist, a politician, someone who worked to integrate this city and on whose shoulders many of us stand.
Thank you so much. 45 seconds to answer this question on annexation. In 2019, for the first time ever, the City Council voted against allowing a group of people voting to come into the city of Mobile. The majority of the 13,000 residents being talked about are white, and the vote against annexation was on racial lines. Do you favor annexation in the specific incident that we're talking about here and in general? And what does it mean for the future of the city? William Carroll, you're first.
Well, you know, first of all, the city of Mobile has been losing 2,800 people a year for several years now. So first we got to find out why, and then we need to stop the bleeding. If it's a quality of life issue, then we need to handle those issues first before we do any annexations. Most, if not all of you know that I was on the council during the last annexation attempt, and I supported it 100%. We either annex for one of two things. We annex for people or we annex for revenue. So right now the city's revenue coffers are strong. Our people, we're strong. We're trying to hit a magic number of 200,000. But right now I have to do what's best for District 2, do what's best for the citizens of District 2, and take a lead from them. Now, if we do come up with an annexation plan that's vibrant and fits everybody, then I'd be more than willing to take a good look at it.
All right, thank you, William. Jason?
I am for annexation. Anything that's good for the city of Mobile and that will bring more revenue, federal dollars to us so we can do more, I'm for that. The last two mayors before Stimson, they annexed. There were no racial lines called out then, so I don't see why there are any now.
All right, very good. Mark?
I am for annexation. The racial lines would have only been affected about 1%. This would have brought tens of millions of dollars over the next decade in funds, and that area out there is desperate for city services. So if they don't get them, they're probably going to incorporate to get those city services. They know that it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but they know they'll get it done. If they're able to incorporate in West Mobile, that cuts off any future expansion for the city. And most of those people out there really are Mobilians. I mean, it's just a westward expansion. So it's a natural progression of the city, and I really think that it's something that we should have pursued 2 years ago. I think it was voted down for political reasons, and we need to revisit that as soon as possible before that area has an opportunity to incorporate and cut off that westward expansion of our city.
Thank you. Kim?
I'm all for it as well. You know, Mobile is the third largest city in Alabama. How long before it's the 5th or the 6th or the 7th? We've got to annex. And there's really nowhere else for us to go. Honestly, we've got to go west. We've got to go that way. So I'm all for it, and it'll help the city with revenue.
All right, thank you. Levon?
I am a pro-growth candidate for this position. And that growth would include annexation, and it also would focus on working to repopulate the historic communities that we have within the confines of our city now. One of the things that was holding us back in the 2019 iteration was that there were not any solid plans for rehabilitation and for growth in the communities that I represent. We've worked hard and been intentional in changing that tide, and so it would be a conversation that I'm certainly willing to listen to. The city must grow, or we'll be boxed in like the city of Birmingham.
All right, thanks, Levon. Reggie?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I favor anything that grows the city of Mobile in a sustainable fashion. A lot of the argument that was placed in front of the city once this came as a topic of discussion were the concerns about grants, additional resources. We have enough blighted properties within District 2. If people are really concerned about coming into the city of Mobile, why not come in and restore some of those places? I feel that with the way the CIP plan is currently working, we are not properly facilitating funds in our most underserved areas right now. So if we extend the geographical setting of our city, that might hinder even more progress. So if they want to come to the city of Mobile, we have plenty of homes that need occupants in District 2.
All right, thank you so much. Let's talk about the supermajority that we have in Mobile. In the city of Mobile, we have a supermajority concept, 5 of 7 votes required to pass most city council business. This was established to protect the rights of African Americans when 4 of the 7 districts were majority white. That could change, though, here after we go through the next census numbers. Districts will be redrawn next year. We might have 4 districts, for example, that are majority African American. What are your thoughts on the supermajority? Should it remain in place under any circumstance? And Jason Caffey, you're first.
Simple for me. We keep the supermajority.
All right, William. Oh, I'm sorry, Mark. We're going down to the end. Mark?
Actually, I do support keeping the supermajority. I think it's another checks and balance system that we need in place, but we probably need to restrict its use to the most vital city functions. It's probably used a little bit too much right now.
Okay, thank you. Kim?
I fully support it. It creates checks and balances systems, so yes.
Okay, Levon?
There are very few instances where this concept actually comes into play. About 98% of the items before the city council pass unanimously. But I do support keeping the supermajority in place. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. It forces consensus and it forces compromise so that the extremes of any position don't always win out. And so I'm in favor of keeping it in place.
Thank you. Reggie?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I too am in favor of this, and I'm thankful for the hard work of those such as Senator Figures. We stand on his shoulders right now because of this, and we have an opportunity at the table because of this. What I would like to see extended within the supermajority, however, is that the budget become a part of that decision-making. The budget currently does not need a supermajority to pass, and I think that that's something that we would look into, and as a councilman, I would do that.
Thank you. William?
Yeah, I'm on Hartley for keeping the supermajority in place. It protects both sides, and right now with the next census count, you never know. She may be on the other foot, and the other side may need to reach out and make sure that it's all inclusive. So I'm all for keeping it the way it is.
All right, thank you very much. Our next topic involves inclusion and diversity. Has the current administration done an adequate job of representing the diversity of the city in its appointed positions? 30 seconds to answer this one. Jason Caffey is first.
I feel that we've done a decent job with that. There's still room for improvement. What I would like to see is more college graduates join that force, and we see what the youngsters have to say. Let them in the game at this point.
Thank you. William?
Yeah, I agree that the city has done a great job in diversifying and having as many employees diversified over the area. But I also think that we need to incorporate people from other parts of the city so that the administration can have an idea of how they're living, especially in lower MLK and the bottom and out in Africatown. We need to have those places. The other thing I'd like to see is that people that are in the workforce for the city, especially executive staff, live in the city. That's a must for me. You know, you have to live in a place that you're representing the people.
Reggie?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. As far as the visual front, I don't believe there's any administration that has presented a more diverse body of leaders. Nonetheless, if the imagination, thinking, and the implementation of projects is not diverse, that doesn't matter. We need to ensure that people are not just yes men to a leader. We need different ideas, and we need to include everybody's opinion.
All right, Levon?
I believe that progress certainly has been made, but there's yet room for improvement, and I believe we have the talent here for that improvement to come to pass.
Thank you. Kim?
I agree. Progress has been made, but you know what? As an LGBTQ community member here, there is no one on the council that represents my voice. And so that's the number one reason why I am running.
Thank you. Mark?
I think Mayor Simpson's done a great job of inclusion in his staff and committee. Of course, there's always room for improvement. It's going to be very difficult for the city to perfectly mirror the demographics of the administration, but we're doing a good job of trying to keep it as close as possible, and I think we just need to pursue that and always keep that in the back of our mind.
All right, thank you. 45 seconds for this next one. We're talking about the CIP, the Capital Improvement Plan. It uses money from the penny sales tax and divides it evenly among the 7 districts for infrastructure projects. Is this fair for the older parts of the city, like District 2? What changes, if any, would you make to this arrangement? And William, you're first.
Well, the Capital Improvement Fund is great. You know, for years, going all the way back to the Dow administration, we used the CIP to balance the general fund budget, which left the downtown areas in disarray for a long time, and that just didn't happen overnight. You know, downtown's the oldest part of our city. We need more funds down there, but you know, we also have to be fair about how we obtained our revenue resources in the one's penny sales tax and share that with the other council members. But at times there are major issues in District 2 that need additional resources that require additional funding. So I'm hoping that at some times that other council members would join in and partner with us in District 2 so we could get larger things done along with the county, especially with pay-as-you-go funds, so that we can get roads done and larger projects like that.
Okay, thank you. Reggie?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I believe with this approach we have to have equity over equality. We understand that Districts 1 through 3 are in much worse shape than Districts 4 through 7. And so we need to be able to, at some point, expend those resources that are actually going to meet the needs of the areas. Because people are not going to come into the city of Mobile and say, oh, I had a great time in District 2 or a horrible time in the other districts. They're going to talk about their experience in Mobile. This is the way to do it. We also have to be able to look at the idea that there were $15 million additional dollars that were added to this ordinance that are being spent by the city. So we can use those resources to actually do a lot more work. And we can't afford to take $300,000 or any of that additional money away from the little $3 million we got on simple projects when the needs for infrastructure, drainage, and all the other amenities in our city are not being taken care of.
Okay, thank you, Reggie. Levon.
CIP program has been great. It's been transformative. We've worked to impact change and bring progress to every community within District 2, and there's yet for us to make improvement. Changes relative to our sidewalks, our streets, even our park amenities. Over the last 6 years, we've expended about $10 million just in upgrading the parks and rec facilities and the park spaces within our district. So it's been a vital program. It's highly popular. I'd like to see it continue.
Thank you. Kim?
I agree with what he's saying. District 2, it's older than the other districts. I don't believe that it's completely fair that District 2 gets the same amount of money as the other districts when District 2 has more parks. It has the drainage system. I mean, our trash cans flow down the road when it rains. Do you see that in West Mobile? No. And when your friends come into town, all of us didn't say we take them out to West Mobile. We take them downtown. And so I'm all about giving District 2 a lot more money. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Kim? Mark?
I don't think that the western districts 4, 5, 6, and 7 would ever go for increasing our budget over theirs. However, a decent portion of our CIP CIP funds are spent on housing improvements and things like that. Now, while I support that, I really think some of that money probably should be coming out of the general budget and probably focusing more of our money on things like sidewalks, streets, addressing flooding, street lights, and like they alluded to earlier, yes, there is a little bit more money on that CIP project that's left over after everybody's given their allotment, and maybe we should be given a little bit larger allotment just for, say, downtown. And I could definitely see that program going forward.
Okay, Jason?
With the CIP, I think we can hold tight with that under the current circumstances. What I would like to see is more councilmen collaborate together and find a common goal so we can do a common mobile together. And you don't see one side of town that has potholes and the other side of town looks great.
Okay, thank you so much. We're going to continue talking about CIP, specifically District 2. What are your priorities for CIP money in District 2? And Reggie, you're first.
I have 3 top priorities for CIP funds in District 2: drainage, drainage, and drainage. It can rain 10 minutes in the city of Mobile and it's flooded. So, I mean, it's very obvious what we need to do. And I'm going to piggyback on my statement previously. We need to have an equitable approach to this. For 200 years, our pipes have been out of whack in District 2. And so unless we're able to invest those funds into it right now, it's going to continue eroding and it's going to continue destroying our communities. We can't bring people in if it's not safe. We can't bring people in if it's not accessible. And these are the things that we can do. The taxpayers are paying for. We need to use the resources properly.
Okay, Levon, 30 seconds.
Yes, sir. Drainage would definitely continue to be a priority. Roadway resurfacing, as we've done over the last 6.5 years, and park amenities. And one of the things that we're really proud of is this new program that we've initiated called A New View for District 2 that's actually helping homeowners rehab their homes so that we don't have further areas going into disrepair.
Thank you. Kim?
Well, my main purpose is going to be transit systems, getting, enhance the transit systems. I know I've already talked about this, but we need to increase the reliability. We need to make their stops more comfortable and accessible. I just don't see why our working class people have to stand out in the rain or the hot weather, cold, when they're trying to catch a bus. So.
Thank you. Mark?
So, like Reggie alluded to earlier, if you want to be like Savannah, then we need to be like Savannah. And Savannah's done is they've taken the measures to go ahead and preserve their historic districts and enhance them. And we probably need to do that too. We need to increase pedestrian access from downtown where the tourists come to the historic districts that they want to look at. And in doing so, we're also going to increase pedestrian access from Midtown into downtown, which will help those retail shops of downtown develop and grow.
Thank you. Jason?
My top 2, number 1 being drainage. It's a situation where the young man said earlier, if it rains for 15 minutes, it floods, especially on that north side where I'm located at. The right-of-ways need to be cleaned up as well. Sometime when you're going up Congress Street, you have to get on the other side of the street just to get up the street because of all of the debris and things that are growing onto the street.
Thanks, Jason. William?
Thank you. My top are infrastructure, drainage, especially in the downtown areas. Not only do the historic districts flood, but Broad Street was flooding, Government Street floods, Rickaby Street is in disrepair, so is Cherokee and Ruth and Dolphin Island Parkway. Those things need to be taken care of, but also our quarters need attention, like St. Stephen's Road. We need to partner with District 1 over there and get that work done. We also need to do the same thing on Michigan Avenue with a partnership with District 3 and make that happen. That's what I'd like to see happen.
Okay, thanks, William. Talking now about a city pay raise during the COVID pandemic. No city employee missed a paycheck. Mayor Stimson is proposing right now giving employees a $5,000 bonus out of the city's CARES Act money. Do you agree with that, or should the funds go to others more impacted by the pandemic? Levon, you're first.
We have some of the most resilient and hardworking employees across this country, and they exhibited that resiliency first class during the height of this pandemic, and even as we fall back into some decline relative to the pandemic now. And so I'm in favor of those citizens and those employees receiving that extra increase in pay, and we'll be supporting it when it's on the agenda.
Thank you. Kim?
Absolutely. They kept our city going when we were all at home and with the pandemic, and I know that with the pandemic coming back as it is, that they will continue to be working. So yes, absolutely in favor of the bonuses.
Thank you. Mark?
Yeah, I am in favor of the bonuses. Right now, our city employees are very underpaid, and they need a little hand. They deserve it. It's causing major issues, not just with the police and fire, but also with things like engineering and just basic city services. We don't have a reliable revenue stream at the moment, so giving them these bonuses is definitely going to help towards maybe solving some of those retention issues, and I'd like to see this done on a more regular basis.
Thank you. Jason?
Pete, as you know, that's a call totally made by the mayor, definitely not the city council, but what I would say is if he has the money in the budget to do it, definitely give those guys a raise.
All right. Thank you. William?
I'm in agreement. Definitely give everybody a raise that deserves it, especially our public works. You know, our public works kept working even during the pandemic. Imagine if our garbage and trash didn't get picked up, the sanitation problems we would have, the illnesses we would have. Those guys are first responders, and they deserve a raise. And so do the people that work at the library. Library deserves a raise also because they help to keep our quality of life up even during the pandemic. They're also first responders.
All right. Thank you. Reggie?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. We need to first be confident that Mobilians can walk and chew gum at the same time. And so basically what this means is if we divide the ARP resources properly, we can help out not only our city employees, but those who are also most underserved. One of the definitions that we need to make sure that we're clear on, however, there's a difference between a pay raise and a bonus. I believe that the bonus should be something that is automatically inputted, and the pay raise is something that we should visit with the general fund.
All right. Thank you so much. Talking right now about a city surplus. The current administration has built a surplus of tens of millions of dollars over the last 8 years. How do you balance the need for a rainy day fund with spending money collected from taxpayers right now for current needs? 30 seconds to answer this. Reggie, you're first. Did I make a mistake on that? We have Kim first. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, we're talking about a surplus. We built up this surplus in the city, tens of millions of dollars. Is that a proper thing, or should we be basically spending the money that we have collected from taxpayers now on the problems that we have right now?
Well, we definitely have problems that need some help, but I believe we should save it. A rainy day fund, that's what it's called. That's what it's there for. 10 million would be a great amount to have just to save it right now.
Okay. Mark, you're next.
Yeah, so we have to maintain that rainy day fund so that we can maintain our bond rating. And that's going to be important as we issue municipal bonds for our larger projects. That is set predetermined. I think it's 2 months. I wouldn't mind seeing it go to 3 months just in case we have some economic times ahead of us. We have a little bit of room for cushion. But that's the main thing. We have to be able to maintain our bond rating and our city finances.
Okay, Jason?
I don't feel that going out and spend is the answer with this thing. I think we need to come up with a strategy and collectively come up with an agreement on how we're going to use this money.
Okay, William?
Yeah, a rainy day fund is great, but however, some of that fund was generated by not replacing some of the employees in the city. And that slows down the services that we provide to the public. We have fire trucks that only have 3 people on them when they need 4. We're missing people in public works when we need more. So we need to use some of that money to, again, enhance our qualities and services to the people. And that's basically it. You know, I agree that we need the rainy day fund to make sure that we maintain our ratings and our bond issues and all of those things. But we also need to make sure that we provide the resources to make sure that the city is properly served.
Okay, Reggie?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I believe that any developer, business owner, really anyone in the right mind would agree that we have to spend money to make money. We can't spend more money on lawnmowers, tractors, and Ford trucks than we are on the necessities of our city. So I believe that we can even replace the money that is already there if we spend it in the proper place. It's good to see where we invest revenues in people and in opportunities and in things that will make our city grow, and that in itself will return the revenues that we see now in this rainy day fund.
Okay, and Levon?
I'm all for a rainy day fund. I believe we certainly are above and beyond what we're required to have statutorily and even to be pleasing in the eyesight of our bond raters. And I believe those resources that we can deploy in personnel and that we can deploy in tackling some of these long-range problems like our concrete streets and our drainage, those ought to be things that we use those resources toward eliminating.
Okay, thank you so much. Our next question, 15 seconds. Who will you vote for mayor and why? Mark, you're first.
I plan to vote for Mayor Stimson. I think he's done a great job, and I really want to see him finish that job. I think 4 more years would help him accomplish his goals, and I think he's on track to do that. And that's not to diminish anything from Carlos Finley, who I have the utmost respect for, but in this election I will be voting for Sandy Stimson.
Okay, Jason?
I plan to stick with Mayor Stimson. He's done an outstanding job.
Okay, William?
I consider my vote extremely private when it comes to that matter. I've worked with all 3 candidates. I think they're all qualified with their own basic beliefs, but you know, I'm asking everybody to vote for me in District 2, and I think that my vote for mayor should remain with me.
All right, Reggie?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I as well have worked with all 3 of these gentlemen, and I'm going to vote for the person that is going to have the best interest for District 2 at heart, who's going to work the best with my office when I'm on the council. And if you would like any information from me, I would be able to tell you August 24th after about 7 p.m. I'll let you know who I voted for.
Okay, Levon?
I have the highest respect for all candidates working and running to be our next official leader, mayor of the city of Mobile. But like most that are on this panel, I'm working hard to earn the vote for Mobile City Council District 2, and so I will work with whoever the citizens of the city of Mobile send to the 10th floor.
Okay, Kim?
I too will work with whoever is elected, but you know, I'm kind of partial to Carlos Finley. I believe he has the best interest at heart for District 2, and we'll have a good working relationship if I'm elected.
Okay, thanks so much. We're on to our 19th question, so we'll make it about COVID-19. How important do you feel it is for people to be vaccinated, and have you been vaccinated? And Mark, you're first.
So I have been vaccinated, and I got vaccinated as soon as I could. And that was a personal fit for me. During COVID, I had to work 67 days straight, and that's going into people's houses, interacting with the public, a lot of elderly people. I have a sister that has immune compromised, so I went ahead and got vaccinated just as soon as I can, and I would like to encourage others to do so, but you're going to have to do what's right for you.
Okay, thank you very much. Kim?
Yes, I've been vaccinated, and you know, we need to fully adhere to all the guidelines to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Vaccination is the best way to prevent the spread, and I'm in favor of following all the guidelines.
Okay, Levon?
Yes, I've been vaccinated, and if they call and tell me we need boosters, I'll be the first to go and avail myself of that opportunity. And I would hope that each and every one that's out in our listening audience would also seriously consider the vaccination route as well.
All right, thank you, sir. Reggie?
I have not been vaccinated, Mr. Moderator, and I think it's important for people to follow their own faith as well as to follow what their doctor says. I think what we're missing here is this is a respiratory issue, and if we are not getting the proper healthy foods, if we're not getting the proper exercise, if we're not getting the proper sunlight, which the science all defends, this is why we're even here in this place. So we need to be working with our institutions to develop the research that is going to allow us to prevent these matters.
Got to cut you off. William?
I have been vaccinated, and my vaccination was not only to protect me, but also to protect the people around me and our families and the people in our district and this city. I would hate to see the implementation of passport requirements for us to be out and about in the city, to be in buildings and things like that. So I'm all for the vaccinations for everyone.
All right, Jason?
I have not been vaccinated. I'm somewhat of an athlete. I don't believe in putting just untested drugs into my body.
All right, thank you so much. All right, our next question, we have 30 seconds for this one. It's a simple one. What's the best thing about the city of Mobile? Kim, you're first.
Well, Mobile, it's centered right between New Orleans and the mountains, and we have the most absolutely beautiful beaches. So Mobile, you've got the food, you've got the people, you've got the environment, the quality of living, everything, actually.
All right, thanks, Kim. Levon, 30 seconds.
Our people, our culture, the fact that we have some of the friendliest, hard-working citizens in this country right here in the city of Mobile, and our natural amenities. You won't find many communities similarly situated as the city of Mobile, and I believe we have the greatest people in all the world.
All right, Reggie?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I too agree that it's our people, but also our history. We have the oldest standing city hall in the country. We had the last slave ship to come through the city. There are so many historical components. We are the eldest city in the state of Alabama. We have the oldest accredited school in the state of Alabama. All of the history that we can think about that is at the forefront of our state begins right here. And so I think that that is what makes us unique and separates us from people not only here in the state, but all across the country. And we have an opportunity now to make this an international heirloom so that everybody will know why Mobile is the best place to be. And as a councilman, we're going to make sure we do it.
All right, William?
I agree. It's definitely our culture, our amenities, Mardi Gras, sports, USA, University of Mobile, the Senior Bowl. It's all the things that make us Mobile and our people. You know, I used to love to say that Mobile was growing by leaps and bounds just by the people walking down the street smiling at each other. So it is definitely our culture.
Thank you. Jason?
The best thing about Mobile to me is, as with any other piece of real estate, location, location, location.
All right, thank you. And finally, Mark.
You know, the best thing about Mobile to me is, you know, of course, the giant trees and historic houses and the history. And of course, when I think about the people, I think about the culture. But the big thing about Mobile to me is that regardless of it being a city, it still has a small town charm where people wave to each other when they pass each other walking by. They nod at each other driving past cars, even if you don't know somebody. And it's that kind of Southern hospitality I really think is the greatest thing about Mobile.
Okay, our next question is the opposite. What's the worst thing about the city of Mobile? Again, 30 seconds maximum to answer. And LaVon, you're first.
Well, I think sometimes we as a community don't venture out and dare ourselves to think for the big, bold projects. I hear a lot of people talk in pessimistic tones about the city and the things that would want to be attracted, that would want to locate here, even when it comes to the brain drain that we see with college students not wanting to come back here in Mobile. We've got to believe what others believe, that this is a great place and it'll get even greater.
Reggie?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. This is not a personal statement. I'm just stating the facts here. Right now, the worst thing that we have is poor decision making, and that poor decision making leads to crime. It leads to horrible infrastructure. It leads to lacking things to do. So we need to take this opportunity, August 24th, to put better decision makers in place, and we'll see a higher standard of quality of life in the city of Mobile.
Thank you. William?
You know, it's different for each part of the district. It floods in Rickaby, it floods in Oakley. We have environmental issues in Plateau, and we have a Hickory Street landfill. So it could be different just depending on where you are. So, you know, it just depends on who you ask at any one given time. All of these things need to be addressed.
All right, thanks, William. Jason?
I can find something good in anything, and with me, there is nothing bad about Mobile. I really love being back home, and I'm enjoying the people embracing me again.
Thank you. Mark?
So the worst thing about Mobile is actually part of its greatest thing is its history. But we also have a mentality of this is the way that we do things because that's the way we've always done things. And we probably need to correct that. But the absolute worst thing about Mobile is our educational opportunities. They're just deficient, and we really need to improve that.
Thank you. Kim?
One of the things about Mobile that I think could be improved is our crime and reporting it. Right now, with hate crimes, if you're LGBTQ and you are murdered, it is not reported as a hate crime. And so I believe that Mobile should start recording that. So should the entire state, so we can get accurate numbers.
Okay, thank you so much. We're going to have 30 seconds for this next question. What do you think the biggest issue facing the city of Mobile is? Why do you think that? And what should be done about it? Reggie, you're first.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. As an elected official, public safety is the first responsibility. And so I believe that we have to take a look at the homicide rate. District 2 has the highest homicide rate in the entire city of Mobile. We have to implement programs and initiatives. We can't expect to fix the things as the people get older. We need to start with them at a very young age so that when they grow up, they'll be responsible adults and be contributing citizens rather than hindrances. We have, as I mentioned before, s4tf.org, we've implemented those programs that work. We've worked with those individuals who will be on the track to be those hindrances. We simply need to invest in things that are proven and that will get the job done to improve our public safety here in the city of Mobile.
All right, William, 30 seconds.
Yeah, our public safety and police and fire and first responders are high up there. But secondly, it's affordable housing. I mean, Mobile has a huge housing shortage that we have to address. Thirdly, it would be our infrastructure. Those are the things that we need to address the most. But wholeheartedly, our crime, and then secondly, affordable housing, and then thirdly, our infrastructure.
Jason?
I think Mobile needs to grow responsibly and offering a better style of lifestyle for everyone here.
All right, thank you. Mark?
So right now we're failing our basic function as a society, and that is to provide safety. Our murder rate and violent crime rate is not only the #1 issue, it's the #1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 issue. It is out of control, and if we don't get that down, nothing else in the city is going to matter. We're not going to be able to draw development. We're not going to be able to draw educational and employment opportunities. So we have got to get our murder rate and violent crime rates down. That is absolutely the #1 thing.
Kim?
I agree. Crime is one of the biggest ones. Also is the brain drain, you know, as Mr. Manzi was talking about earlier. Keeping our young graduates here is vital to our economic growth. If we can't keep them here, then we don't grow, and that is what I consider to be our biggest issue.
Okay, and Levon?
I certainly would say that crime and public safety is our biggest concern. We probably train half of the law enforcement agencies in southeast Alabama because they go through our academies, they get our expensive training, and then they get opportunities at smaller departments with higher salaries. And so that would be one way that I think we could have a impact on crime, is making certain that we keep the maturity level in our ranks amongst our police.
All right, thank you so much, Levon. We'll go on to our next question, which follows up on the one we just had, which is, what is the biggest issue facing District 2 right now? Why do you feel that way, and what are your plans? William, you're first.
Well, infrastructure again. We need to do something about our streets flooding in our infrastructure and correct it. Oakley floods so much. Lion Cove floods so much. We've just got to do that. I know that we have projects on the way, but they've taken so long to get here, and there's so many more that have to replace. We've also got to handle the Hickory Street landfill, get that place fixed up so that we can start having affordable houses and issues around it, so we can regrow that community. Those are our big issues.
Jason?
I'd like to see more businesses and jobs come to the district. That's my personal feel on it.
All right, Mark?
So flooding is of course a top issue, but and I hate to harp on this, but it really is violence. You know, our citizens are getting tired of pulling bullets out of their roofs, and they're getting tired of hearing gunfire every night. And so we really need to get that under control.
Kim?
It's our infrastructure for sure. Our drainage systems needs to be repaired. We need more economically diverse housing and violence in downtown Mobile.
Thank you. Levon?
Infrastructure. While we've expended millions of dollars in improving our infrastructure and improving the amenities, quality of life across District 2, there are hundreds of millions of dollars that need to be found in order for us to totally solve the problem. From Lion Cove to Plateau to down the bay, infrastructure is a constant need.
All right, and Reggie Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. And again, this is not a personal statement. I'm just basing this on our current quality of life. But the biggest issue facing District 2 is poor leadership. We wouldn't have all of these things that we're constantly complaining about, whether it's in the church, parking lot, at the grocery stores, at your friends' homes, on social media, if we had better decision making. And so I think once we're able to replace poor leadership, we'll see a lot of these things change for our district.
Okay. Of course, you all live in District 2. This next question is, what makes District 2 unique? Why is it the best district to live in the city? And Jason, you're first.
I love the fact that I can come out of my house on Ann Street and jump on my bike and be on Dolphin Street within 15 minutes. It's centralized. I just love being in that area.
Okay, Mark, you're next.
We're the best district in the city because, in my opinion, we are the city, and the rest of the city is just the suburbs of our district. And it's true. I mean, we're the downtown, we're the historic districts. We are the capital district for our city.
Thank you. Kim?
I agree. We, District 2, downtown Mobile, we are Mobile. You know, I love the fact that I can walk out of my house and go walking down Broad Street, Dolphin Street, and grab something to drink and eat along the way. We have our wonderful parks. We have the most parks of any district, and they're historic, and we need to preserve those. So that is what.
Okay, Levon?
District 2 is unique because it's a cross-section of our city. You have some of the most economically depressed, some of the most economically blessed. It's the historical, religious, educational capital of our city, the heartbeat of the city of Mobile. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else.
All right. Reggie?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. District 2 is the most diverse area in our city. District 2 is also the most historical area in the entire state. I mentioned a lot of the amenities that we have here in our backyards earlier in this segment. And District 2 is also the county seat. So there's nothing more important within our region than right here in District 2. And I think most people already know that.
William?
District 2 is the most diverse district in the city. We have the richest of the rich, the poorest of the poor, a strong working middle class, historic amenities, historic districts, the entertainment district, the trees, the beautification in District 2. It's what makes our city, and it sets the tempo and the pattern for the rest of the city and for everybody that comes here to recognize Mobile. When they come here, they don't go out to Children's Road, they come downtown. Downtown is what sets the tempo for the city, and downtown is District 2 in all its parts.
All right, thank you so much. Let's talk about the Bayway Bridge project. What role should the city take in the construction of a new Mobile River Bridge and Bayway? 30 seconds to answer this, and we'll begin with Jason Caffey.
I think we should take a large role in it, Pete. A multi-billion-dollar construction deal is going to bring jobs, it's going to bring revenue to the people of Mobile, and I like it.
William?
We should lead the pursuit of the bridge. Right now, it backs up from the tunnel to Virginia Street and further during the summer, and from the downtown tunnel to Michigan Avenue. The subsequent streets are clogged. There's no ingress or egress. So we should lead this charge so that it relieves our city and makes it better for us. The other thing is that in taking the lead, we need to assure that every person has the ability to participate in the contract, whether minority or majority. We need to make sure that the people in the city get the opportunity to also participate in the construction of it.
Reggie?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The City of Mobile should definitely be at the forefront of this project, along with any other project that's in the region, because it's the City of Mobile. But what I want to make sure that we don't do is hurt those most underserved communities. A lot of times these type of projects hurt those who are least looked after and have the least resources. So we need to make sure that they're at the forefront of this decision making as well. I think that this is a great opportunity for us to bridge the relationships between Mobile and other municipalities, and if we can find those federal grants that could be at the forefront of this, that would be the best way for us to move forward.
Thank you. Levon?
I'm all for progress. I think the bridge would certainly be a progressive thing for our region and most importantly for our city. But I also want to make certain that the communities that are going to bear the brunt of both the implementation of the bridge and also how trucks and other things will be realigned, that there are community benefit packages in place so that the Down the Bay communities and the Africatown Plateau communities that will see this influx in traffic get something in exchange for the quality of life they're going to have changed.
Thank you, Levon. Kim?
Well, going back to one of your questions, what's one of the biggest issues facing District 2? That would be traffic. I believe that we should absolutely, as soon as possible, get the bridge built, and it should not be a toll bridge.
Okay, and Mark?
So the main thing that we need to do is take a leadership role, and we need to make sure that we maintain free access. Mobilians have already paid for the Causeway, and we've already paid for the Bayway. So we need to make sure that there is a free access for our citizens so that they can enjoy the beach. And whatever that looks like, whether it's one lane of the Causeway or a free pass on the Bayway, we just need to make sure that that is done and made a priority.
Okay, and we are kind of running out of time here. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit for our director. We're going to talk about Amtrak next. 30 seconds to answer this question. The City of Mobile has promised $3 million to help bring Amtrak service back to the area, but Amtrak has reneged on conducting that study on the impact that passenger rail service might have on commercial rail service. So should Mobile subsidize the return of Amtrak. And we're going to go William first on this one.
You know, I'm wholeheartedly for supporting Amtrak. I think it would be a great addition in partnership with Gulf Quest in satisfying some of our transportation needs there. It also provides another piece of transportation for those citizens that don't like to drive or fly, to go to other cities along the way. So I'm all for it. The other thing is that I know that we can find a plausible way for Amtrak and our port to work together down there so that we could all make it happen to where Amtrak can be part of our society.
Thank you. Reggie?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Public service is about relationships, and sometimes relationships calls for compromise. So we need to be able to work with whatever individuals are about bringing things to the city of Mobile that are going to make our quality of life better. I believe that Amtrak is one of those amenities that could do it, and I think we need to work with whoever we need to ensure that it happens.
Thank you. Levon?
I was one of the lead sponsors of the legislation that put forward the $3 million for the city in order to attract Amtrak and to incentivize them to want to return to the city of Mobile. I believe it's imperative if we're going to work to be an international destination that we have all manners of transportation amenities to get here.
Thanks. Kim?
Absolutely. Yes, I believe that it would be a great addition to our city, and it would make our quality of life much better.
Mark?
So I need to see that study. Just like our interstate highway traffic is backed up due to regional growth, our interstate industrial traffic also gets backed up due to regional growth. And they're about the same age. So I want to make sure that if we are adding Amtrak, we're not doing something equivalent to, say, blocking one of the lanes of the interstate on a Friday at 5 o'clock during the summer. We need to make sure that it would be able to flow and wouldn't be able to interrupt traffic. And if you've ever been downtown, when that train is stopped, it completely interrupts everything.
All right. Jason?
The city of Mobile economic professionals and Amtrak execs need to get together and do the numbers on this. And if it works financially for Mobile, I'm all for it. But if it doesn't, then we don't need Amtrak.
Okay, thanks so much. We're going to move on to our final statements here tonight. Before the debate this evening, we drew lots to see what order our candidates would make their closing statements. They have 1 minute to do so. Reggie Hill, you'll go first.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and again, thank you to the League of Women Voters, to Mobile United, WKRG 5 for this opportunity. I'm going to say this as charitably as I possibly can. Everybody else on this stage, they're basically in over their head when it comes to the needs right now for District 2. There is not one member of this district who has participated in more events related to municipal government as it impacts our community directly than myself. So we've already seen what's going to happen if we carry ourselves in this current direction, and we can't afford to go backwards. And if we just speak about council meetings alone, the other three candidates I can count on one hand as the compiled attendance of these individuals. So if we're looking for something that is going to actually improve the quality of life for our district, we should remember what Einstein said. If we keep trying to do the same thing over and over and over again and expecting something different, that is insanity. So I'm hoping that everyone will get out August 24th, elect Reggie Hill. Visit electreggiehill.com for more information. And again, I'm thankful for this opportunity and thankful to share the stage with these individuals.
Okay, thank you so much, Reggie. Kim, you're second.
Well, I'm a civil rights organizer and LGBTQ activist, and I really believe that my history of activism and leadership skills make me the best candidate for District 2.
All right, thanks, Kim. William Carroll, you're next.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone that had us out here tonight, to Mobile United, to the moderator, to the League of Women Voters. I'm running for District 2 and for the future of District 2. I'm running for the growth of this city that's adequate growth, you know, whether it be annexation or growth from within. I'm running so that our kids have a place that they can call their own, that is new and dear, with different ideas and different approaches to situations that we have in the city of Mobile. I'm running so that 20 years from now, that we can look back and say that we've implemented good legislation that's brought us from where we are now to make sure that we stay within the 21st century in this country and also in this city. I'm running for the future. I'm running so that our city is great. I'm not just running to fill potholes and pave streets. I'm running so that we can take Mobile to the next level. Please vote for me, William Carroll, on August 24th.
Thanks, William. Jason Caffey is next.
Everyone who knows me knows that I'm not a man of many words. I'm more a man of action. A lot of people are talking the talk, but very few are walking the walk. So I'm going to close this out, and I'm just going to keep walking.
All right. Thanks, Jason. Levon Manzi, you're next.
Yes, sir. I ran initially 8 years ago with the slogan, "For the people, for a change." And that is something that I have worked hard and worked diligently to stay true to. Stay true to representing as hard as I could and as courageously as I could each and every citizen from each and every community across our district. I've worked to be accessible, holding more community meetings than any council person probably in history. We've worked to make improvements from an infrastructure standpoint and have a record that no other iteration of council persons can match. But there's yet work to do. And I'm asking that you go to the polls on August the 24th and continue to support progress, continue to support progressive leadership. I'm asking that you allow me to continue to work for you in District 2.
All right, thank you, Levon. Mark Minute, you are last.
So as the only candidate with a successful business background, I think it's very imperative that we consider that when we consider the fact that COVID's making a resurgence, we're going to have pending inflation and crime and innovation, and we really can't afford to have apathetic leadership at this critical point in time in our community. We need to remember that, like I said before, I worked 67 days straight during COVID, and that's going to be necessary as this Delta variant grows. If there are more restrictions, somebody that is going to be able to get out there in the community and continue to work.
All right, I'd like to thank all the candidates tonight for participating, for your candor and your answers. I'm a resident of District 2. I learned a lot tonight, and thanks to all of you for stepping up and running for public office. And thanks so much to the League of Women Voters, Mobile United, and AFC Mobile for sponsoring with us for tonight's District 2 City Council Forum. Tomorrow night at the same time here on WKRG.com and in our WKRG Facebook page, we are going to be discussing the topics and the issues affecting the city and the candidates for District 4. And then on Friday night, we will hold our District 3 Forum. Thanks again for watching, everyone.